8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a news edited by Ramesh Piris and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The Buddhist Advisory Council commends President's commitment for establishing national policies. The Ministry of Finance informs all heads of state institutions to utilize funds allocated through the 2021 budget diligently. Updated announcement on isolation orders in Colombo. COVID-19 recoveries tally on the increase. The government to review COVID-19 cremations policy. The Deputy Registrar of Askiri chapter says it is the government's responsibility to enact one country, one law concept on burials of COVID-19 victims. Permits denied to those not maintaining quarrying and mining sites. News overseas, Pope Francis calls on world leaders to ensure unfettered access to coronavirus vaccines for everyone. In sports, Dean Elgar drives South Africa reply as depleted Sri Lanka. And those are the headlines. The Buddhist Advisory Council commended President Gotabaya Rajapaksa for his unwavering commitment to lay the foundation for national policies despite obstacles and challenges that surfaced during the year. The Mahasangha emphasized that people wanted a disciplined society that ensured national security that had collapsed after 2015 and a society free from drugs and underworld activities, a public service sans waste and corruption, and foreign policy upholding the country's identity. The Buddhist Advisory Council expressed these views when they met the president at the Presidential Secretariat for the 7th time recently. As per the head of the National Operations Center for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak, the isolation orders on the following areas will be lifted from 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Dam Street, Kesalwatta and Maradana Police Divisions. Slave Island Police Division, Vekanda and Hunupitiya Grama Nilladhari Divisions. Mayura Place of Vellavatta Police Division. Borella Police Division, Algahavatta and Kalipuliyavatta Grama Nilladhari Divisions. Laksanda 7, a housing scheme of Vellampiti Police Division. Meanwhile, the following areas are newly declared isolated areas and the isolation orders will come into effect from 5 a.m. tomorrow. Kesalwatta Police Division, Alutkade West and Alutkade North Grama Nilladhari Divisions. Areas declared as isolated in the remaining districts will continue to remain under the isolation until further notice. The Army Commander further stated that the following areas have been declared as isolated areas with immediate effect. Ahaliyagoda AGA Division, Minnana, Vilegoda, Yakudagoda, Askagula and Bopatha. Godakavela AGA Division, Rakwana Town, Rakwana North, Rakwana South and Kottala. And those are the areas. 462 individuals have tested positive for COVID-19 thus far today. Accordingly, the number of infections reported in the country has increased to 40,842. The number of COVID-19 recoveries recorded in the country increased to 32,701 after 650 COVID-19 patients who recovered were discharged from hospitals during the past 24 hours. The epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health said 7,954 persons, including 4 foreign nationals, are currently receiving treatment for coronavirus at 65 facilities across the country. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A review of the decision on cremating COVID-19 victims is expected by the Health Ministry in the coming days after research on health aspects is completed. The co-cabinet spokesman, Dr. Ramesh Patirana, said the government has called upon the Health Ministry to address the issue raised by the Muslim community with a humanitarian approach and fairness. Dr. Patirana said the cabinet had not taken a decision to permit burial of COVID-19 victims of the Muslim community in the Maldives last week. Deputy Registrar of the Askiri chapter, Venerable Narampanave Anandathera, claims certain politicians are attempting to gain political benefit through calls to allow burials of COVID-19 victims. The Thera stressed that the problem surrounding the burial or cremation of those who succumbed to coronavirus has now become an unsolvable issue. The Venerable Thero however, stressed that amidst the prevailing state of affairs, all segments of society must abide by the law without creating rifts, adding it is also government's responsibility to enact the one country, one law concept without bowing down to any force of influence in this manner. The Ministry of Environment has directed its attention towards discontinuing the issuance of permits to persons who fail to maintain quarries, soil and sand mining sites in a stringent manner. Deep pits dug in some quarries have resulted in persons dying after falling in. The Environment Ministry said rehabilitation work at the relevant sites should be carried out at the expense of the individual obtaining the excavation permits. Steps have been taken to include relevant clauses in the agreement for the permit. And that's local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddha Lepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddha Lepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddha Lepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Ministry of Finance has informed all heads of state institutions to utilize funds allocated through the 2021 budget with proper management. Issuing a circular signed by Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, the Ministry noted under the prevailing situation, additional funds cannot be allocated without Parliament approval. The Finance Ministry stressed the accounting officers of relevant institutions must bear responsibility if additional funds are utilized despite the directives. And that came to you in top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddha Lepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddha Lepa.
In Moshline, the police requested the people in isolated areas to adhere to quarantine rules and regulations and cooperate with health authorities to conduct PCR tests. The police spokesman, DIG Ajit Rohan, said people in isolated areas are not allowed to leave the isolated areas and added that it was reported that inmates of some areas do not support health authorities in respect of health instructions, especially to conduct PCR tests. He requested people in newly isolated areas to strictly adhere to quarantine rules and regulations and respect orders of health authorities. And that's Watch Light. And moving on to world news, the Pontiff calls on world leaders to ensure unlimited access to coronavirus vaccines for everyone. Central African Republic election polls open amid fears of more violence. Gulf Arab ministers to discuss steps to resolve diplomatic dispute. And those are the headlines. Pope Francis has called on world leaders to ensure unlimited access to coronavirus vaccines for everyone. In a Christmas Day address delivered online for the first time, the Pontiff warned against putting up walls to treatments. Pope Francis said, "May the Son of God renew in political and government leaders a spirit of international cooperation, starting with healthcare, so that all will be ensured access to vaccines and treatment." Elections in the Central African Republic are underway after a campaign marred by violence between government and rebel forces. Yesterday, the Constitutional Court rejected a bid by opposition candidates to postpone the vote because of the insecurity. In the run-up, 3 UN peacekeepers were killed by unidentified assailants during 2 separate attacks. And this is the first election since a peace deal was struck in February 2019. Gulf Arab foreign ministers will hold a virtual meeting hosted by Bahrain today ahead of an annual summit to discuss steps towards ending a diplomatic row that has undermined regional stability and thwarted Washington's efforts to form a united front against Iran. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain's severed diplomatic ties with Qatar in 2017, accusing it of backing terrorist groups. And that's world news. And in development news, the Minister of Environment, Mahinda Amaraveera, says that measures have been taken to ban 6 types of non-degradable plastics. He noted that relevant information has been directed to the Attorney General to seek permission to publish the Gazette notification in this regard. Accordingly, the ministers added up that the approval has been received to ban 6 types of plastic, including sachet packets, plastic bottles containing pesticides, and toys. Minister Amaraveera stressed that steps will be taken gradually to ban polythene bags soon. And that's development news. And moving on to sports. Cricket. Day 2 of Sri Lanka tour of South Africa, Dean Elgar and Aidan Markham sped to half-centuries as South Africa regained parity in an excellent batting session against a depleted and indisciplined Sri Lanka attack. The hosts lost only the wicket of Markham for 68 of 94 and racked up 135 runs of 27 overs in the second session. Short while ago, South Africa were 285 for the loss of 4 wickets in reply to Sri Lanka's first innings score of 396, a milestone for the highest total against Proteas by the tourists. And that's sports news. And moving on to business news. Bairaha announced its biggest move yet as it launched a new range of appetizers that guarantees to make this pandemic period more tolerable. Bairaha is introducing the new nugget range to make this period even more eventful without compromising flavor for a better cooking experience. Bairaha has spent months researching and finalizing the chicken-based range that includes Sri Lanka's first ever chicken cheese nuggets injected with cream cheese. And that's business news.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
The ambassador of the Republic of Korea met with Sanjay Mahatwala, a newly appointed chairman of the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka, recently at the board premises. The ambassador was accompanied for this meeting by the Korean Businessmen's Association and the Korean Residents Association. The discussion was on facilitating the existing Korean companies in Sri Lanka more effectively, especially for the businessmen who are facing difficulties due to the current situation with COVID-19. The chairman of the BOI agreed to expedite the resolution process of the challenges faced by the existing Korean investors. And that's economic news.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, in the weather report, the Department of Meteorology has issued a red notice over the weather forecast due to the low-level atmospheric disturbances in the vicinity of Sri Lanka. Showery weather is expected to continue further in the northern, eastern, north-central, Uva, central and northwestern provinces. The department predicted showers in these provinces with very heavy showers above 150 millimeters in the northern, eastern, north-central, central and northwestern provinces and in Badulla district. Before we conclude this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The Buddhist Advisory Council commends President's commitment for establishing national policies. The Ministry of Finance informs all heads of state institutions to utilize funds allocated through the 2021 budget diligently. Updated announcement on isolation orders in Colombo. COVID-19 recoveries tally on the increase. The government to review COVID-19 cremations policy. The Deputy Registrar of Askari Chapter says it is the government's responsibility to enact one country, one law concept on burials of COVID-19 victims. Permits denied to those not maintaining quarrying and mining sites. And with that, we conclude this news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.